live in a big, big city.
And I'm Adam Willis.
And you're listening to the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. Hey, I'm Pat P.
And I'm Adam Willis.
Okay, so we're hearing ourselves. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF, where we travel through time just to pay ourselves some respect. It's that ill.
Yep.
Gotta let it go. And I'm just popping. You can't see if you're not watching us on twitch.tv/The Geek Down. But if you can, man, we are pretty tonight. It's Mobb over there.
I'm always pretty.
I don't know. It stands out no matter what distance where you are. And of course, the man who's preoccupied, Black Adam Willis.
Yeah, right before we went on, Johnny here gave me a little bit of some game action, so I'm like trying to video game and talk at the same time, which is not a good idea. Actually, I'm going to put these down. I'm just going to take this L on the Switch right here, and we'll get started.
Embarrassed by the AI in ARMS. We'll talk about the Nintendo Switch. We also have a solid review for Justice League Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'm looking forward to that one. And, Black Adam, dude.
What up?
We have the lowdown on the Netflix series, the Netflix original movie.
Yes, War Machine.
Starring Brad Pitt.
Starring Brad Pitt.
I didn't realize that was for
starring
Netflix.
Topher Grace.
Yeah. Topher Grace.
Whoa.
Larry Fish.
Anthony Michael Hall. My personal favorite.
He is.
Yeah.
Since Kangaroo Jack. No, he wasn't in Kangaroo. Sorry, that was I'm thinking of somebody else. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Anthony Michael Hall since Johnny Be Good. Sorry, that was your favorite, John.
Of the Dead Zone fame.
Yes.
Dude proved that, I can be an adult as well.
Yeah, you remember the Johnny Be Good movie that he was in with
I do, dude. I was
Robert Downey Jr. way before, when he was still on drugs?
Yeah. I was like 8 years old. That
That's
was
my
like the
favorite
thing to me.
That's my favorite era of Robert Downey Jr.
He was so good, yeah.
I don't know.
If anyone's ever seen Restoration, is I think his finest hour.
He was Two Girls and a Guy too, which was just an awful movie that he was in.
There's a lot of awful movies.
Yeah, there is, but look at him now. What can we say? He beat us all.
Well, he started off playing himself, in a metal suit, and then somehow that just took
somehow off. that worked out. But he was also Robert Downey Sr. was like one of the godfathers of independent cinema, and he was in his father's movie.
Yeah, that's.
When he was a kid, as like a dog or something. I think he played.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
It was like out there.
How auspicious.
Yeah,
I didn't know his work.
Robert Downey.
That's beginnings.
Yeah, you should look at that. It's a pretty interesting over Robert Downey Sr. has. Actually.
All right, I may just do that so I can laugh along.
Putney Swope is, I think, the big one.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, and of course we got into a little discussion when we're I shouldn't be on the radio.
Are you having a day, Pat?
I'm not.
You having a time?
I'm trying not to, but it's happening.
I think it's just one of those days, man. It's
We'll
just
get
one of
through
those
it.
days.
It's that freight train.
And I was the same way. I actually went to see. I'm apartment hunting right now, and we went out and checked the place. And is there anything worse than going into other people's homes and like walking through them and trying to check it out and just like I would live here? It's just such an awkward thing.
Well, the problem is you're going like in the daytime when people are there. You got to go in the nighttime when doors are locked. You break in the window. There you get the.
Can I look at your place?
Yeah.
How's the water pressure? Yeah.
Some people call it B&E. I call it responsible shopping.
You're right. Yeah, you gotta do your due diligence for these apartments.
All right, we got a lot of good stuff to get into, but I want to make sure we don't. God, why again? I'm talking, of course, about just Johnny over there looking very business-like.
Yep. That's right, with my Mario shirt.
We're gonna go easy on you today because apparently he's a little under the weather.
Yeah,
you'll make it.
All right,
we'll all get through it together. I think we can do. We can all push, and get there.
Yeah, I believe in us.
Yeah, okay. Well, someone has to.
Hey, we've got the touch.
Nah, we do.
We've got the power.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into it because it's not all good news, and we got to get this first one out of the way because, dude, Prodigy of Mobb Deep.
Prodigy of Mobb Deep, man. And this is, as a hip hop fan, this one hurt a lot. I mean, he was only, was it 46?
42.
42,
yeah, wow.
Even worse. Yeah, he's a little bit younger. And being a young hip hop fan and listening to the Infamous for the first time, it was one of those experiences like, wow, this is like way out of my league because I can't, this is like the real authentic street hip hop type stuff. But I was like such a big fan when I was a kid. And then that whole beef with Tupac, and Tupac blasted him on the album too.
Mm-hmm. That was a whole big thing that not everyone really knows about. Like
Right.
everyone knows, it was Biggie versus Tupac, but that stuff spanned like all of the East Coast versus all of the West Coast.
Yeah, and Mobb Deep was right there in the middle of it. Of course,
Mhm.
Mobb Deep and Havoc formed,
Prodigy and Havoc.
Prodigy and Havoc. Sorry,
Or Mobb Deep.
formed Mobb Deep.
Mhm.
And yeah, he passed away due to complications of sickle cell anemia, which he's had his entire life.
Yeah.
And actually,
Damn.
Tupac said something. He's like, "Which one of you guys got sickle cell or anything?"
Well, that's one of the major things. Like Tupac was throwing low blows, and one of the things
Uh-huh.
you don't talk about a man's wife, you don't talk about someone's children, and you don't talk about someone's potentially terminal disease.
Right.
And yeah, and he went in on it.
Yeah, but that's how it was then, But like I said, the Infamous, that album is just an iconic album for not just East Coast hip hop, but hip hop period.
Yes, it was.
So many good songs on that. Nas was featured on that. It was part of the big Queensbridge
Bridge.
group
Yo.
with Nas, Capone and Noriega,
Mhm.
Mobb
And
Deep.
you want to know something trippy? They
up?
were they formed that group when they were like 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe younger. Like they were young kids. I
Yeah,
remember
they
on
were-
posters and stuff.
They were in
children.
I mean, they were like kind of art students. Like they benefited from like art programs in schools and everything like that, and they put that into. I think they were in a group before this called Poetical. Do you know? Poetical something or other. That was their group
I
before.
keep thinking of Prince Poetry and From Launch.
No, this was just both of them, Prodigy and Havoc. But then when Mobb Deep formed and the Infamous came out, that was like the grimiest album ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like super grimy. They
G.O.D.
hmm
For the part. Oh,
Yep.
hold on. Wait. Yeah, I'm gonna call you Dunn for the rest of the episode. What's good, Dunn? I'll speak the Dunn language. These are random tidbits from the songs, and if you know Mobb Deep, you'll pick up on the references. Yo, they pretty much changed the whole effect of the movie Scarface for me.
hmm
Like every random scene background theme somehow
Right.
found its way into a Mobb Deep track.
Right.
And they made it work. They made it so damn funky.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just super grimy, super like hardcore stuff. Survival of the Fittest, one of my favorite tracks. I think some of the production on the album
Maybe
was
forget how.
so perfect. It was so good, very simple and just very East Coast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It had that. It was like not like flashy, but it was like very. Like I said, I can't just stress this enough. Grimy.
Yes, it
it was
was.
very good.
Yeah,
But
I
then
like
he
some
had
of
he did a lot of other stuff too. He wrote a book that came out. I think it was like 2011
Yes, he
around
did.
that
Yeah,
time.
he just did some music for one of my friends. Cynthia Von Bueller has a cool event out near New York
Mhm.
called the Illuminati Ball, and he recently worked on some music for that.
Oh, kidding.
Yep.
Wow, okay. Didn't realize we had a personal connection in the room.
Mhm.
I mean, I've never attended this event. I just know of it.
Hey,
But
second
it's-
degree is okay with me. That
I'm
counts.
I am only 1 degree away.
See, there you go.
But yeah,
But
outside
just
of-
something cool, like saying that he's been working on projects very recently. Like this is something that
Well,
you
he
know,
was-
right up to
The thing
the.
is too, he
the
was
minute.
touring. I think he was like they were doing
He was actually
shows like
performing,
the
yeah.
week before he died. Like they were out there. Like the last picture of them, it was like him and Havoc,
Mhm.
and Ghostface and Raekwon.
Yeah, he was
Like
doing
they were
it.
all doing this big like hip hop kind of festival type touring festival thing.
It kills me,
The
man.
Art of Rap, I believe it was. And yeah, so it was just very sudden. You know what I mean? He's in and out of feeling bad. You know what I mean? It was like it would flare up and every once in a while, and he was sick. But he always kind of pulled through. So this was kind of like
He was a smart dude, man. He had chops. You were actually starting to mention he wrote a book.
He wrote a
recently.
book.
Not just any book.
Yeah, it was like kind of he wrote his autobiography, and like a lot of that stuff, features some. It explores all the beefs that happened, with all these famous people. One of my favorite parts of the book, he's talking about, because I'm a big Capone and Noriega fan, another Queensbridge group, and the time that he beat up Noriega, and then Noriega and his boys shot somebody that was with Prodigy in the car, and then that started this whole feud there. And like if you're into this type of stuff, if you're into like the history of hip hop and beefs like that, it's a fascinating read. to hear about it. And then I know Noriega put something out on Instagram saying like they squashed their beef years ago, but he's like I just talked to him 3 days ago. You know what I mean? And like he was always game for whatever. He was like super, I guess, a really nice person, very intelligent.
That's messed up, man. It comes like at like it. There's never any warning.
Right.
You know, it can literally just be like the next day.
It's the thing. It's like even though he was sick, it's like you just like Prodigy's dead. Like really? Like wow. You know what I mean? And instantly a group that's that big, you just go through like the first time you heard him. I know that's what I did, and you're thinking of like when you were listening to him, it puts that right in that time and place. You know what I mean? So like he had obviously his stuff with Mobb Deep, but he did HNIC his solo album, a couple of those. He did a good project with The Alchemist too. Did an album called Albert Einstein, which is really, really good as well. If you like The Alchemist is like a legendary producer.
Yes, he is.
And they've been doing stuff, working together a lot. So there's a lot of music.
Let's not forget one of the most important things that I think should be noted about Prodigy. You mentioned his autobiography. His other book was the prison cookbook.
Oh man!
Oh right.
Oh man!
Meals you can make with nothing but things that are offered in prison.
Yes.
Wow.
That it's like you can make like a souffle out of like ramen noodles or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
my personal favorite was the dang it, what was it? It was something au gratin or like mac and cheese. Using Doritos, like crushed up Doritos as the cheese.
Oh,
it's pretty interesting what you can scrape together. You know what I mean to spice it up a little bit when you're like not living with much, especially if you're in prison, like what you get in your commissary. You know what you can buy, and then I think there was something attached to that too. It's like it had like certain prisons offer different things.
Yes,
and so he's like what you can get based on what prison you go to, so you can mix and match. It's fascinating stuff.
And he was talking about have people send you certain ingredients. They can send you a certain amount, like a certain amount of food, like pound wise.
Right.
So have them send you your ingredients, and you can just like chef up all types of meals that aren't available in the calf.
Yeah. Imagine that make you a popular guy in prison too. If you have all those,
right?
You have the cookbook, you know what I mean, and you're resourceful enough to get all that stuff together. Probably make you a pretty popular guy.
What are we making today?
Probably buy you some friends.
Bourguignon.
Some ratatouille.
Julia Child's recipe.
Yeah, exactly. But man, yeah, like it came out of nowhere, and like I was such a big fan of his. I was such a big fan of that whole scene. Like Nas is my favorite rapper, period, and they did a bunch of stuff together. I mean, they had a little beef as well, I think too.
They did, but a lot of them fought a lot.
Yeah, I think over time, inevitably everybody kind of beefs.
Yeah, I think it was Prodigy was on Cormega's track, and Cormega dissed Nas at the time, so Nas kind of called him out. He's like, "Get these snakes away from you," you know what I mean? Do your own thing, blah blah like that. So it was
trust. And I also don't want to neglect my favorite tracks from Mobb Deep.
What you got?
It's the real hip hop. Quiet Storm, dude. This track like made my freshman year in college.
See, exactly. Everyone has that one.
And they brought out other cats too. I remember I wouldn't know who Vita was if it wasn't for Mobb Deep and that crappy track they did. Back then.
But he was like
I'm sorry. What was that? It's the real what? I'm sorry.
But he was one of those guys as well, just as an MC, strictly as an MC. It was like nothing flashy, just very straightforward, kind of hit you in the chest. And it was just like he just blew you away with like how real and authentic he was and how he sounded, and you believed him. You know what I mean? He wasn't the most gifted, but like his rhymes were great.
Yeah, no, he was very lyrical. Like his lexicon was solid. That's one of the things I definitely respect.
Yeah.
And the thing is, sometimes it wasn't always on point, but between like the kind of like shoddy, cheap rhymes, that's an easy one to go for. He would like say some real stuff,
right?
And I mean, Havoc was just like the perfect producer to combine that lyrical quality, and make it memorable.
Yeah,
music to this day, like I still have. I just played one that was off my own personal collection,
right out of your phone.
I still have
right?
These things in
you were ready.
rotation.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like you believed him, you know what I mean? Because these are guys that lived everything they rapped about. You know what I mean? When they're talking about the streets, when they're talking about being, involved in all this stuff, they really were. That stuff really happened. It's documented, and everyone will attest to that. And I know, I think was the BET Awards last night? I
Yeah,
think
they
a
showed
bunch
that.
of people were kind of.
They
came
showed
out,
on
I
Comedy
know.
Central for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I turned to it.
Nah.
I'm like, okay, let's watch some South Park reruns.
And it's the BET Awards, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
like more straight bottom of the barrel.
I wonder what social commentary they're trying to make.
I think Master P came out. He's like, I'm not even gonna go in because they changed it up. He's like, and he made a good point, Master P, saying he's like, we don't honor these guys enough while they're alive, but once they pass and everyone all of a sudden they're the greatest thing ever, and everyone remembers. He's like, this guy probably couldn't do as many shows as he wanted to because he couldn't book anything because no one wanted to hear it. But now he's like the biggest thing ever. It's like we need to start honoring and recognizing these people and respecting them more when they're actually alive because it doesn't know good when they're dead. And I happen to agree with that a lot. It's like, everyone was big on Prince and Michael Jackson and stuff that's like that, but when they pass, and it's just like this whole thing, which it should be, but it's just like you need to really.
Artists are underappreciated in general.
Right.
And
I think it's only getting worse, too.
Oh, no, definitely. Well, I think there's also more obscurity.
Yeah.
In music, like
well, you're not getting it all from one
amount.
Place anymore. You know what I mean? Everyone's
True,
so
which is a
spread
very
out.
good thing for us as fans. But when you lose somebody who's made a legit contribution, and you may not hear about it right away, you may not, know their music. You may discover their music after they've already passed. That's how I found Elliott Smith.
Yeah, I did too. Actually, I did. It was even after the Good Will Hunting movie. I was like, who's this? Man, he's deep. And it's like,
dig
heroin.
this. You want to find out an old reference? I heard Son of Samson off of an old. Do you remember a college music journal? That old magazine that nobody bought?
Yes.
Yeah, they used to give free,
not that I ever
free CDs. Well, I just took we always just took a bunch when I worked at Strawberries years ago.
Yeah, back when they used to have music stores and stuff that were big.
Yeah. And a few years after that, just going through my random CDs that I've never listened to and seeing kind of gems I've missed out on. Son of Samson right there.
Well, yeah.
So hopefully somewhere out there, someone who's never heard Mobb Deep.
Well, that's all you can hope for
an album.
After they pass, you know what I mean? Everyone making a big deal of it. I think the one good thing is that people are like, oh, wow, he was that influential, he was that big. Maybe it'll inspire some, young kids that don't really listen to, certain kinds of hip-hop to get into that stuff, you know what I mean? If they're all they're listening to. What you got? What's this? You turn it up.
Right there.
Oh, there you go.
They know who's never heard this.
Yeah.
This song helped expose me. She blinded me with science. Put a whole new light on it.
There you go.
Yo.
How many more you got on there?
Yo, man, I got two. Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah, we
We'll
won't.
be here all night.
Right. Yeah.
All right, but no, we're talking about Albert Johnson, a.k.a. Prodigy of Mobb Deep. Dude, he was influenced. Was he influenced you, Dunn?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know, like personally influenced, but man, did I love his music, man. And like, it was, I'm such a big Queensbridge, East Coast hip hop guy that,
Yeah, dude, these
and
were
he
like
was the center of that.
There were some of the lesser known. I almost say forgotten, but lesser known pioneers of that style.
Yeah,
I remember
very
an old poster I
underappreciated
had.
later on. Yeah.
Definitely an old poster I had of him and Havoc as cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just them, like they were kids back then.
They were.
And the cartoons are just these small, Seabear and Jamal looking characters, and they both got sickles and they're just there, dapping each other up and looking at the camera like, damn, okay, what is this?
Yeah, they were a little scary, you know what I mean? And I think that's what attracted me to them early too. And I was like, I'm kind of like.
You were rocking your Champion hoodie back then?
Yep, with a big, gold rope. Exactly.
Oh, not that far back.
No.
All right.
But
make some references here, but Prodigy, dude was an influence, man.
Yeah,
And
he was huge.
I wish him, rest in peace.
Absolutely.
All right, and that's not the only going away.
Yeah, interesting news here. I think we're gonna transition to
Your homeboy DDL.
Yeah, DDL, Daniel Day-Lewis. For those living under a rock, he is the actor from There Will Be Blood, In the Name of the Father, My Left Foot, Lincoln. Yeah, those are just 3 of the 4 movies he won the Academy Award. He's the only actor to ever win the Academy Award for Best Actor 3 times.
Anywhere you find a waxed mustache, you find Daniel Day-Lewis.
Basically, Robert Downey Jr.'s character from Tropic Thunder at the beginning, when he's like Kirk Lazarus. Kirk Lazarus, I think, is very loosely based on Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh,
as being,
definitely.
like,
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
prestige actor, you know what I mean?
Or Christian Bale.
But he's not stuffy like that, you know what I mean? You think he's like kind of this stuffy like artiste that is like not really approachable. Like I always pictured and thought of Daniel Day-Lewis as like the Stanley Kubrick of actors, and that he worked once every few years, very, very selective, and when he did, it was always a big deal. And the reason we're bringing him up is he said he's going to retire officially from acting after his newest picture with Paul Thomas Anderson, something loosely based on 50s fashion.
See, I wonder. Well, first of all, like he can never do something that's not a period piece, can he?
No,
It's
probably
his
not.
thing.
Yeah.
Let him have his
but, I
thing.
mean,
Yeah.
he just likes those hairstyles.
Well, he likes
He likes pomade.
Well,
That's what he's feeling.
the thing is, I think one of the reasons he may be retiring is it's like his style is kind of really not suited for today's Hollywood, because he's more like intense character studies and like really
Get intense. I've abandoned my boy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, not intense at
So
all.
these prestige pictures, and now where everything today has to be a sequel, it has to be a comic book, it has to be something that big and blows up. That's not really what he does. You know what I mean? He's turned down so many pictures like this. He works like once every 5 or 6 years. You know what I mean? He'll select
he just
something.
spaced it out pretty well. He's not oversaturated in the media, but he still pops up every now and then. Hey, I'm here to take that Oscar.
Yeah,
I'll catch you all.
He agrees he agrees to sign on to a movie and do all the press that comes with.
But he's not really out and about aside from that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he disappears like literally, but not like disappears like secludes himself. He just goes back to like Ireland and sits there. And I think he was working as a cobbler. You know what I mean? He was doing
a pipe and a mug in peace.
Yeah, he was like he would go to the same pub by himself and like drink and stuff. And
I'm sorry. Back up. I thought I heard that, but you said a cobbler.
Yeah.
Shoemaker.
Yes.
Like
that's what he was doing. Yeah.
I did not realize that was still a thing.
Oh yeah, that's definitely still a thing.
But
I have friends that are cobblers.
It's a very.
They're not Daniel Day-Lewis, but you know.
It's a skilled trade. You know what I mean? It's very.
What do you do when you're on vacation? I'm a world-renowned actor.
Now I'm a cobbler. Yeah. But yeah, he's retiring, and I think that's just a huge blow for people that are really into, because his movies are so good, and not just maybe it's not the movies that are good, like he is so good in them that he can take like an average picture and make it something spectacular. You know what I mean? Like I don't like all of his movies, but like every performance is fantastic. And like The Last of the Mohicans isn't my favorite movie by a long shot, but he is so good in it. You know what I mean? Even My Left Foot, I don't really like it as a movie, but he's so good in it.
I never saw My Left Foot. All I know of My Left Foot is that Futurama parody.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
This one's bigger than.
But he's the pinnacle of acting. He's like the top of the mountain, and
He's up there. It's like a white Denzel.
Yeah, well, he had the white Denzel thing going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't see it?
Sure.
Well, okay. Think back to like
he works far less.
Think back to vintage Daniel.
And he's never a cop.
Vintage
he's
Denzel.
Never a cop.
More like true, but more like
his eyebrows are way too angry to be a cop.
I'm talking more like Denzel and Glory. You
okay.
know, like I could see Daniel
Which is a
Day-Lewis
great movie.
It is. I saw it at the wrong time because I was I think I was a freshman in high school. They showed us that.
Yeah,
and I was
same.
not prepared to see someone's head blow up.
That's also when I saw that movie.
But yeah, this dude had that one scene. He had that tear. Daniel Day-Lewis,
the single tear running down the eye. Yeah, absolutely.
And he did Lincoln with the proper voice because everyone thinks Abe Lincoln talked like this, and his voice was deep because he had that beard and he was 18 feet tall. But in actuality,
has that hatchet walk, yeah.
Yeah.
But he disappears into these roles, and that's what I think he's probably most known for, is that he's a method actor, and he takes the method extremely far, where he literally, like on set of Lincoln, they would refer to him as Mr. President, even in between takes. And in between takes,
I heard about that. I thought that was just a rumor.
No, that's absolutely true. It's confirmed by everyone that's worked with him. Steven Spielberg said as much.
Steven Spielberg is calling him Mr. President.
And so
I love that.
and The Last of the Mohicans, he spent, I think it was like 6 weeks out in the woods by himself. You know what I mean? Doing that.
No, I know we're trying to
Gangs
honor
in New
him,
York.
That is such, okay, better. Thank you.
Yeah, Gangs in New York. He would glare.
He's so good in Gangs in New York. That movie is unbelievable.
And his voice in that movie.
Oh, I know.
It's just so perfect. And I think
now I got to rewatch that. Actually,
and he said as much. Where it's like, once he commits himself that much to a role and is like disappears in that much, he says once the movie ends, he gets a little depressed because he's like, he can't believe that it's over.
What do you do now?
That experience is like done, and it's kind of this overwhelming like post-film depression.
How long
that
does
he
it
would
take to
go
make a
into.
movie though? He's got a a nice solid backlog of shoes and people pissed off waiting.
That's could be it.
to take him
Yeah.
back in Ireland.
Yeah, something to fall back on. But yeah, it's probably a little hard to go back to normal once you commit that much to your art. And so it's you can understand that a guy.
Wait, so with all that, why is he retiring?
That's the question, man.
We can't get into his head, but he may just feel like he's not challenged anymore. A lot of actors retire when they feel that they're not challenged by these roles anymore, that they don't feel fulfilled in acting. He didn't say that he's, screwing off forever. We may see him again as a director, producer, a writer. We don't know.
True.
Yeah.
It could be the
I
opposite.
expect
Maybe he does feel like fulfilled with the roles he already played.
Yeah,
it could
He
be. The
just-
thing is,
I think he's just at that moment where I've done all the big roles or the major. I've left my.
I would not
impression.
be surprised. I would be completely not surprised if we saw him year or two, couple years from now, coming back as a director.
yeah. Well, he's
Or on Dancing with the Stars.
I personally
Yes,
think.
or on Dancing with the Stars, which I think he would
Yeah.
do quite excellent on.
I personally think we'll never see him again. That's
Really?
That's
He's
my,
off making shoes.
No, honestly, I think of this guy when he says he's like, I'm doing it, and I think he had a press release saying he's like, I'm retiring, and it's a personal decision. That's all I'm going to say about it. He's not going to mention it ever again. And I honestly think that maybe he's just done. Maybe he feels like he has done enough, and then he probably just wants to live a quiet life alone with his wife. His wife, of course, is Rebecca Miller, and she directed him in The Ballad of Jack and Rose, a movie he did. And I guess the method to getting into that, he was like kind of secluding himself, because that movie's about like a man raising his daughter in complete seclusion, then him like trying to come up with a way to, because his daughter obviously never really has human contact other than him. Like, what does he do with her after he passes? And that's kind of the question of the movie. But, she's an artist. I'm sure she'll continue to make stuff. And who knows if we've seen the last of him. I really hope not. But, like, it's my theory that if this guy's saying he's done, he's done. There's no reason that he's ever done anything that would give me reason to believe that he'd be lying. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to do, like, I'm retired. And then, like, 2 years later, you see him in, like,
That kind of brings me down because he's
superhero
one of
movie.
the few actors where it's just like anything he puts out, you
It's
don't
big.
automatically think, oh, it's a cash grab or something. They're trying to
No, it's-
capitalize on a franchise.
It's for his art, yeah.
Yeah,
And you run to the movie theaters to see his movies. At least I know I do.
it makes art films that actually have some prestige and aren't just like some film student whacking off on screen there.
Right. And so, like, I'm glad his last movie's with Paul Thomas Anderson, though. That's my favorite American film director.
You would want to see W.S. Anderson.
yeah, the Mortal Kombat 3.
That'd be awesome, right?
Yeah, that'd be good. He plays Sub-Zero.
Or hey, I was gonna say Wes Anderson. I hate Wes Anderson. Let me not do that.
I don't think their styles would go together. I don't think.
Although that would be really amusing to
That
think
would
about.
be
Like,
something.
just
to,
picture him trying to like deadpan his way through a Wes Anderson movie.
Or well,
Just that
it's
camera
like
stuck there. He walks into the middle of the frame, walks off. Yeah.
a really
Oh my
long
God.
stare, and all you do is they zoom in on the wax mustache. Just you watch him stroke it a little.
He does look like a Wes Anderson.
I mean, I'm really here
character
for
a little bit.
those.
Oh no, let's not encourage people. He'll be like, you know what? Maybe I'll do a Netflix thing. No.
No, but him and his acting, man, this guy is above and beyond, and he's so believable in everything he does. In the Name of the Father is one of my personal
Oh yeah, that
favorite
one's
movies.
excellent.
It's so good, and I remember him talking about doing that movie because he plays Jerry Conlon, a guy wrongfully convicted of a crime in Ireland as being linked to the IRA, this explosion. And he gets out years later, but after his father was locked up as well, and his father passed away in prison. But he had to spend, I think he said he spent however many days locked up, and he went to prison and was locked up, and he was like personally interrogated and kept without sleep, just so he could get in mind what would make somebody admit to a crime they didn't commit. And he's like, well, I felt it all too well. I believed why he would do it after experiencing what he probably experienced when at this time in Ireland, they could keep somebody suspected of terrorism without reason. They could keep you there for as long as you wanted. And they did. And they basically got this confession out of him that was bogus based on them, interrogating him so intensely that he would admit to his own this crime that he didn't commit. And so he put himself through that.
He seeks out these roles. He takes on. No one told him to go to jail, I imagine.
Right. No, and he said this is curiosity.
Okay,
He's
so
such a curious guy.
Mr. Clooney, we've hired you for this movie. We're gonna beat your ass for 4 solid days.
How does that sound to anybody? Yeah. I can imagine like what's the Family Guy joke of Ben Affleck? He's like, oh, I got to do a British guy today. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I'm good. You know what I mean? That's the approach to acting today that I picture. And then this guy, like I said, is just not cut out for this style of Hollywood that we're living in today. So maybe he's like, I've done enough. I worked with the best directors. I've won the awards, you know.
Well, dude, maybe that's for the best. Think of how many folks in Hollywood, actors, actresses, etc., that pretty much don't know when to call it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the main reasons I respect Jerry Seinfeld's ethic is because he realized, you know what, the show's going well, but eventually it's going to fall off. Yeah. Let's go out, you know, gracefully on a high note.
Sure.
And I think that, and it does seem to me after hearing you break it down that that's what likely what
that's what I mean. I don't know. I disagree.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to alliterate that either. I don't mean to cut you off. What Daniel Day is doing there?
Like I disagree that he's fading into the obscurity forever. I think we will see more of him in a different capacity.
I
hope I'm right too, because he's book tour. He's gonna write a little autobiography, maybe some survey of prison food.
The length of like 3 Bibles.
Yeah. Who knows, man? I really, you know, if you
wait, I'm sorry. Did you say prison cookbook?
She said.
I said prison cookbook.
Oh, jeez.
I said prison cookbook.
Shame on you. I'm missing them left and right. I'm sorry, Adam. I cut you off.
No. Like I was just responding to Amy. I really hope you're right. I really hope he comes back in whatever capacity he chooses, whether it's directing, producing, you know, just taking, like I said, his curiosity that leads him into these really, really deep kind of rabbit holes of artistic expression. I really hope we get that in some way, if it's just not in front of the camera as an actor.
I'd like to see him do like a Tim Schafer thing. Tim Schafer was a game designer. He made the Adventure Island series.
Okay.
Yep.
I almost said
no, it's a very different series.
Yes, it is. But what he did was he kind of retired, and then he did a Kickstarter to get his own project done. You know, so not dealing with any additional producers or anyone else's vision, just his own opus.
Yeah.
You know, he did a Kickstarter and like it held a record for like one of the quickest funded Kickstarters.
Really.
And going far above its goal. I think Daniel Day could do something like this.
Good.
And maybe whatever movie he's wanted to do and never was able to do.
Yeah.
He can actually get done as like his final, you know, his curtain call, his bow there.
I'm just thinking like all the things he's turned down. You know what I mean? After like I said,
yeah, man.
Like, he's taking a break.
Ghostbusters 3.
Taking these giant 5, 6, 7 year breaks in between films, you know what I mean? Like, what makes him choose what he does? And he works with the top guys. Like I said, if you're not excited about this new Paul Thomas Anderson movie with Daniel Day-Lewis then you have to be now. You have to be now. Like, this is gonna be a major movie. So I'm really excited. At the same time, I'll watch it with a heavy heart, knowing that this could be the last time we see him. So yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis. Last movie is
I don't know the name of it. I don't know. I would just call it an untitled Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes.
All right. Keep that in mind. And I want to turn it over to just Johnny over there, who's, I don't know, man. You've been pretty silent this show.
Yep. Silent.
Okay. Well, Johnny's going to give us a lowdown.
He's saving it.
All my energy, all the little energy that I have, I'm saving it.
We won't push it too hard then, but give us a lowdown on ARMS, the new game that's, been blowing up the internet, man.
Yeah, we got ARMS. It's
we got ARMS.
We got legs too. Home button over there.
Adam's gonna actively play while you discuss.
Hit the home button. It's right below the right thumbstick. There you go. All right. So ARMS is essentially it is an evolution in fighting games. I'm not going to say that it's a good or bad evolution. It's just very different from other fighting games. So you had, throughout time, you've had games out there that change up the formula for what would be a fighting game, like Soul Calibur is one of them that really took it into 3D. ARMS takes it even further. So it has that full 3D motion into it. But the cameras, instead of it being maintaining a side perspective, which is sort of the norm in just about every fighting game out there, it's a behind the back, behind the shoulder, facing forward style perspective.
Yeah, third-person view.
Third-person view.
I watched a lot of gameplay of this, and from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, it so far has surpassed the opening week. Sales of both Street Fighter, the proper title, Ultra Super Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
Okay, there's another part there that you mocked before last time.
Yeah, it.
But and Tekken 7.
The final challenges. Yeah. It just came out that the first week of sales it is the highest selling non-licensed fighting game, or the best selling non-licensed video game,
and this is
up
fun.
until this point.
Yep, and Adam, Adam, you've gotten a quick taste of this. What are your initial first impressions?
Oh, I'm loving it, man. I'm not good at it, given that
It's
I played
cute,
it for
though.
about 3 minutes. But this is really interesting gameplay too.
Yeah, I watched tons of the gameplay earlier today. Not to interject, but just I'm loving the characters first and foremost.
Yeah.
Each of them has they have legitimate designs that give an excuse for everyone to have these long, springy arms.
Yeah,
but
look
each one
through
has a
the
different
designs too.
Yeah, one's
some has
like
hair, some of their arms.
the
some
badass
are,
mummy,
yeah.
it's his wrappings.
Yep,
His fists on the
little
end
wrappings, the bandages.
the
Helix.
spring
He
dude.
has the genetic. I don't know the
DNA strands.
DNA strands as arms.
Yeah, he's like a goo thing. I like that one because his stance is just, I don't know, it's funky, man.
Yeah, he's probably the weirdest and probably the hardest character to use.
He's on point with Voldo. If anyone plays Soul Calibur.
Yeah, he can sort of stretch up tall, and then while he's up in the air, he can bob and weave, and then he can shrink down to like this little puddle of goo and sort of
Relatable.
and stay sort of duck away from everything. So
Hey, if you ever wanted to play Plastic Man,
so it's a fighting game where you have instead of having arms to attack the enemy with, you have they are arms, but they're sort of like they're like slinkies for all the way up until the fist itself. And then the fist portion of the arm, and this is where it gets interesting, is the fist portion you can attach different arms. They call them arms, but they're essentially different fists to the end of your arm. And each of these fists, they have different weight categories. So there's light, medium, and heavy. And for example, if you punch with a heavy, that'll go through someone else. If you have two punches sort of colliding together, heavy will break medium, medium will break light. But light is quicker. Yeah, light is quicker. So the speed of a light punch will always sort of make it to the other opponent faster than a heavy punch will. So you have that little mechanic there, and then the arms themselves have different properties associated with them. So they might have electrical, they might have ice, they might have fire to set the enemy on fire. So each of those arms are very unique. It's always a good time
setting people on fire.
Yeah, and you get that extra damage. Yeah,
we can watch Adam celebrate his first
he finally got a victory here
on easy mode.
So how do you feel about the learning curve then, buddy?
I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing well, so I'm happy.
You're doing okay.
You know what I mean?
That's any group game.
He went through like halfway of the tutorial, so he's doing good.
Yeah, I got the gist of it. But.
One thing I noticed from watching the gameplay, the upgrade mechanic is I won't say completely unique, but it's different from most games of this type do. Whereas you don't buy upgrades, you have to earn them in the game by hitting certain targets, and basically it's precision.
Yeah, it's so when you go to purchase arms, you're not really purchasing them. You go into this mode where you have to sort of knock them and collect them, and it's a little bit randomized. So it's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, like
roulette.
Isn't there like a machine of sorts where there's like a bunch of goodies falling down? You have to catch all the goodies, and whatever you catch, you get. Even though it's not catching.
You're saying it's the video game equivalent of you going on a game show and they put you in that phone booth and just blow a bunch of dollar bills at you, whatever you can catch.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
That is frightening and awful.
And as whatever it is that you get, those are going to be the different arms, and the arms might be for different characters. It might be for the character you're going there for. More likely than not, it is for the character you're going there for. So there is some randomness to it. It's kind of like a loot box, if you will, with Overwatch or with other games that have that sort of mechanic in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not guaranteed to get certain arms that you want, but eventually as you go through it, you will get the arms that you want for the characters that you want. So that is essentially the progression system within this fighting game. And any of the modes, and there are many different modes, any of the modes that you go through and play matches in, you're going to earn the currency, and then when you get enough of that currency, you get to go and do that little get more arms thing. So that's your progress, is that currency. You spend your currency on unlocking more arms that then gives you more customization over your character.
All right, so give me the lowdown then. I'm a regular jive sucker. I don't play these types of games. I miss Tetris and Dr. Mario, the good old
Mario
action games.
Nice.
How hard would it be for me to pick up the Switch sticks there and just go to town?
It's really easy. It's almost like a natural kind of feeling, because when you're using a motion control, and you can use the Pro controller. So if you want to use a traditional controller, you can do that as well. But it kind of seems like the motion controls is the ideal way to go, because you can move and curve your punches with the motion controls in opposite directions, and with the Pro controller, you can't move and curve your punches. But so with that aside, the motion controls, it just feels natural, because you're launching your fist forward as you would do normally if you were to have slinky arms. So it feels kind of natural there, and then you sort of curve your punches.
Your natural slinky arms.
Yes,
yeah, your natural slinky arms, and then you twist your wrist and you're curving your punches as it happens, and it feels very natural. And the only other buttons you have are the two shoulder buttons that are on top of the controller for jumping and dodging, and then the final ones, the other two shoulder buttons, either one can do the special attack. So combinations of that, blocking feels natural, so you're just crisscrossing them together in order to block shots. Launching both of your fists forward does a grab, so it feels natural, and the tutorial is very quick. That's probably the best part about it, is that it's very quick, and it teaches you just about everything you need to know in order to get into it. And then once you get into it, they have so the Grand Prix mode has multiple levels of difficulty. It has 7 levels of difficulty, and the first 3.
So jive sucker, punk bitch.
Yeah.
Early respect.
Well,
hardcore, respect my gangster, and you're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die.
Yeah, that So the fourth, 1 through 3 is pretty good, pretty straightforward. You'll probably breeze through it, and then the fourth one, man, does it really ramp up the difficulty. And
okay, like a rubber banding jump.
It's sort of like baby mode is off, and what you are playing against with the AI, they're really challenging. And then just when you thought you were going to beat it, you get the final boss, which is completely broken and overpowered. Instead of 2 arms, he has 6 arms. So
yeah, I saw that. It was like this weird robot thing.
Headlock.
Headlock.
Yeah, he's broken. He's way too overpowered. I'm struggling with Headlock right now, trying to beat him.
I'm Headlock. Relinquish your nuts.
I'm Dreadlock.
And bolts too, but mostly your nuts.
And then when you beat 4th level difficulty or higher, when you beat it the first time, you finally unlock the ranked mode. And then the ranked mode is essentially, you can also earn the currency within there. And ranked mode is like any other online ranked mode. Yeah. You play against other people in one-on-one matches, very traditional rule set. There's no items, so as you're playing in a match, you'll have like these random items spawn in, and they could be like bombs, or they could be like health regen circle items that you want to get into that sphere, and in order to recuperate health or recuperate your special meter. And that doesn't exist in rank mode. It's just you against the opponent. There's no items there, so it's like very traditional, sort of like what you would expect in a tournament. Nothing random, just one-on-one, show skill.
Okay, so then thumbs up, thumbs down, final call, because it sounds like you're pretty excited about this. Would you recommend anyone pick this up?
So right now it's not worth the $60.
God dang, Herb, do you hear this?
Oh, it's a bit high, but that's sort of like a normal price that you'd expect. But right now it's a little light on features to fully make up for that $60 price tag. But they are releasing, this is the big kicker, is that they are releasing free content updates.
Okay, so like basically a season pass without the extra.
Yeah, so free. So just they already announced that there's a new. They're going to have another character that they're going to be coming out with either at the end of this month or early next month, as one of the first things. There was a patch update today or yesterday or sometime this week that enabled a few more additional modes and some bug fixes and whatnot. So they've already showed that they're adding new stuff, and they've already said that they're going to add new stuff. So with that said, by the time everything's said and done, and Nintendo has done this before with Splatoon, where they released a lot of free additional content. So if they're handling this the same way that they handle Splatoon, it'll absolutely be worth the $60.
Okay, cool. Game is ARMS.
With a Z.
With the Z? No.
No, with an
With an
S?
S.
No, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was with a Z.
No,
It's with an S.
No, the game is
It's not
ARMS.
as cool as I thought it was.
Come on. The game is ARMS, available for the Nintendo Switch.
They're just
Yep.
regular arms.
And Johnny says, sucks. I'm kidding.
It's
like
good
it.
but
I like
different.
All right, awesome. All right, now, Adam, dude,
Yeah.
without any further ado, you and I got to check out War Machine.
Yeah, man. Starring Brad Pitt,
Brad Pitt of all
Topher Grace,
Mm-hmm.
Larry Fishburne.
Larry, what? No. No, wait, Larry Fishburne. Anthony Michael Hall.
Larry Fishburne?
That's the one that really threw me for a curve there.
You don't see him in a lot of movies.
You don't. I haven't seen him since The Dead Zone.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he was in Freddy Got Fingered, too.
Oh,
Wasn't
thank
he the-
God.
Sorry, I brought that up.
Why is that a thing?
I had to
don't
see
know.
that in theaters. Oh, I don't think
Wow.
I'm still not over it.
You had to see that.
My partner at the time made me.
Oh, okay, I think you'd be like, my parents wouldn't let me have
My
it.
parents took me. No.
So this came out on Netflix, which is like it's hard to like know when these are coming out sometimes.
Yeah, Netflix is
You know
kind
what
of
I mean?
it's
Netflix
just
is-
an ether in itself.
Yeah, it's doing great with original content and original material and everything like that, but sometimes like this movie should be bigger. More people should be talking about it, you know what I mean? If this was released just in theaters and everything, you know what I mean, it would probably be a bigger deal, you know what I mean, where it just they can kind of release something and it kind of just can disappear right away.
Well, I look at it kind
There's
of
so
like,
much stuff on Netflix that it's kind of like, okay, that's
well,
there,
yeah,
you
things
know?
like Stranger Things, which blow up on there, really are like that's like, I don't know, what do you call it? Like you hit the bullseye. It was a random shot in the dark because there's so much available, but I don't hear about any of it. Nothing's like advertised on other networks. It's like finding a good movie on HBO. That's an HBO original. It's like, okay, I don't watch this, that much to, know everything that's coming out every day.
Right, and I think that's what they're probably struggling with. Is that they have some great stuff, but just not enough people are aware that it's there.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes people stumble upon. I think you said you kind of did that and wouldn't have been out
Yeah,
for a few
purely
weeks. You know what I mean?
accidental.
Which is crazy. You know what I mean? Given that this is a pretty, big
movie
movie
starring
with
Brad Pitt. That's
starring
insane.
Brad Pitt. What's the director's name? McCod. He did Animal Kingdom, and he did one of my favorite movies of a few years ago, The Rover.
Okay, I didn't.
Which was a great kind of post-apocalyptic Australian set movie.
Oh yeah, starring Mel Gibson. I know that one well.
Yeah, from that Mad Max kind of rip. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this you want to get into it?
The quick plot of this is the military is having trouble
winning the war in Iraq.
Well, winning the war in Iraq, yeah,
Afghanistan. Sorry,
and winning the war in Afghanistan, but also appealing to the populace. So
It's
they
weird
really
how war
wanna,
isn't popular, really, sometimes.
I don't understand it myself. I've got posters on my wall.
I'm a big fan of that.
No, to try to convince the people of the populace that they're there to help, that they are not the bad guys. They're there to we're there to aid. We're here to provide training to your local authorities. We're trying to leave the place in a better state than we found it.
So not just winning the war, but selling the war, that this is a good idea and we're here for a good reason, not just to blow the whole place up.
And for a story set around the military, one thing that really got me is they didn't shy away from the fact that most of the initiatives enacted go through so much red tape that a lot
There's
of them
so
just
much
fall.
bureaucracy, so much stuff they go through, and then enter Brad Pitt, which is this kind of
he's
a weird character. He's very kind of gets himself in trouble. He's kind of like he's very earnest in what he says, but he's
earnest in what he says, but he's definitely your, I don't want to say phony Republican, but he's definitely a glad handing.
I would say he's very, very confident man. in his own abilities to do this task, even though what's on his plate. And I don't think he quite understands how serious and how large this thing is.
No, but then again, he's got that. First of all, Brad Pitt plays it tremendously.
Yeah.
Like it was brilliant. I bought him, and then, like every speech he gave, that was basically just like, let me tell you, I understand you little people, because you should trust us for some random reason.
He's kind of being condescending at the same time, trying to appeal to you.
Yeah, and I got that. I also got him, bought him as an old man.
Yeah,
which mostly comes out when you see him running.
Perfectly coiffed hair.
Yeah. His facial. Hold on, see if you go with me on this. His facial expressions. What was his character from Inglourious Bastards?
Aldo Rain.
Yeah, because this was like him 30 years later.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really, really, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's pretty much dead on. But this is also a movie that, given that it's a war movie, technically, there's not a lot of action, not a lot is on the battlefield.
Yeah,
most of it's in boardrooms, most of it's in like really intense conversations, really intense backdoor type stuff where they're making deals and making these big meetings and stuff like that. That's what the action is, not so much like people are out there with guns and actually shooting each other and blowing things up.
And when your own government tries to stonewall you for an initiative that they hired you for,
right?
This really shows that the extreme lengths some people will go to get their vision realized.
Yeah.
And this dude's he's like coercing meetings with the president. He's kind of blackmailing his bosses. He's going off. He basically went rogue without, I don't know, violating any specific rules.
Yeah.
Like a very shrewd lawyer.
So it's a lot of politicking.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, it was.
It's a movie about that type of stuff, and like
and here's
it's the
weird.
red tape that you gotta that's set up.
And
there.
I still enjoyed this. Normally, I hate those movies where it's all about the politics. There's like tons of movies in Tom Cruise's catalog. We like him, and I can't watch The Firm.
Yeah,
dude, I can't watch.
Well, this movie to me started out a little slow, and there was they were introducing a lot of characters that. There was by their voiceovers and everything. They had this weird voiceover that were introducing all these characters, and a lot of them just kind of faded out into the background at some point. So it was kind of like the pacing at the beginning of it didn't really feel. It eventually settles in, and it does become a very interesting movie that I was into. But
it kind of changed formats.
It took me a minute. And I was like, I'm probably not going to like this just the way it was going. But it definitely settled down, and it became it found its rhythm. And it ended a lot better than it started.
Yes, and I also really want to call out the cast because we mentioned Anthony Michael Hall. We mentioned, I think we mentioned Topher Grace.
Yep.
We mentioned, of course, Brad Pitt.
Yep.
Meg Tilly was in this.
Meg Tilly as his wife. And there was an interesting part because they said they were been married for years, but they only actually spent, 30
days a year
together.
Yes.
And so that's the state of these kind of marriages when your husband has gone overseas and
he's wars. Also a high mucky to muck in the military, so everyone's calling him for meetings. He's got to be across the world for most of the time.
Which you would have to think in some way too. That's probably what saves the marriage. Because if this guy's sitting there,
they seemed when they were together, they were very awkward.
Right.
Great acting on both parts. By the way, Meg Tilly, if anyone doesn't know, actually Jennifer Tilly's sister, which is probably a more familiar name. And she did a bunch of, off-brand movies around the 80s and early 90s, and then took a long break from doing any productions and just got back into it in the last few years.
Yeah, it was great to see her in this. I kind of came out of nowhere, too. I was like, oh, wow.
And fantastic acting.
Yeah.
Her sister does kind of more...
She's more of a vamp.
Voice.
She's more of a vamp.
Yes, she is.
She got that voice, too.
She got that voice and that torso. But Meg does more prestigious roles, and this was, I think, one of them. This movie, despite not being entirely serious, was definitely it used the star cast that it had.
Right.
Everyone, whether they had a big role or a small role, really went for it.
Yeah, it was based on a book, which is also based on an infamous Rolling Stone article on this guy who was basically based what Brad Pitt's based on.
Yeah,
and
I never
about
read
selling
the book.
the war and everything like that.
One thing I would say is look for solid performances from guest stars. Like this thing had a bunch of random names popping up, random faces, and I thought it would be one of the just a cash grab of well, you know, we got Russell Crowe in here to do some stuff just to get the name on the marquee.
Right.
You know, so that'll sell this movie. It's like, no, they didn't advertise the sucker at all. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I highly recommend anyone to see it.
Absolutely. I'm right behind you.
Full thumbs up. And Brad Pitt at one of his finest performances. Dude still got it.
Man, I love Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's the man.
He is the man.
Anthony Michael Hall.
He's
in there
there.
as this
He's there.
random badass out of nowhere.
Yeah. Who knew?
All right.
Johnny be good too.
Now,
Mix Macabre
what's up?
over there and I got to check out
Yes,
Justice League Dark.
sure did. Featuring my second favorite problematic bisexual.
Oh, Swamp Thing? All right. Justice League Dark is the story of there's an uproar in the world of magic once again. And John Constantine, is that the name you were going to say?
Oh, yes.
John
Me
Constantine
and
brought to fame
Amy
by
are on the same
Keanu Reeves.
page with Constantine.
I love him so very much.
I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves too. Yeah, I'm glad you agree.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, real quick aside though.
Yes.
The world of the Keanu Reeves movie with Matt Ryan Constantine in it is perfect Hellblazer. So I cannot hate on the 2005 Constantine. Okay. I like it for what it is. So I will not sit here and have you take shots at it.
I was trying to rile you up.
It's so mad good. I love that movie.
No, Adam will tell you. I like that movie too.
I think we all did. I didn't really think it was
getting to this one, I without a doubt honestly think this is the best Constantine related media made yet.
Yeah, this was really good. And
really good.
I like that John Constantine was brought to the forefront, not played as a background character. This is a story heavily featuring Batman. And you'd think, main Justice Leaguer, they're going to throw him in the middle.
So for those unfamiliar with what this is, it's basically Justice League Dark is all of the ooky spookies kind of the DC universe plus Batman.
Yeah.
So you had Deadman. Deadman was so good. Boston Brand, he was so good. It was also like they gave Deadman's backstory because he's a little bit more of an obscure character than the others. They gave his backstory in like 2 minutes and it was perfect. And it just, everything I felt was really succinctly done for a movie. And just to go on a quick tangent of it, I genuinely think this is one of DC's strongest films in general, not just animated features. It felt really tightly wrapped, tightly done. And its choice of characters were really interesting to me.
No, I concur. And let me see if I can take a side note to maybe have a quick moment of bonding here. Up until now, I'm the only person I know I've ever met that's actually bought a Deadman
friend, I have purchased a Deadman comic.
Yes. Right there. This is why we're friends.
Who?
Oh, come on. Don't do his name is Boston.
No, but like what I also love though is this had Jason Blood / Etrigan, and what really was interesting to me is it kind of acted as an origin story for Jason Blood and Etrigan being together. And I don't want to give any spoilers for the ending or anything, but it frames things. There was a really good bookend to the film, and the characters used were all really interesting.
Yes, they were.
And I feel that it incorporated Batman in a way that wasn't just, the straight man, if you will. There's too easy to take a film that relies on magic, and Batman is notoriously not anti-magic, but very there's always a scientific explanation.
Well, that's the thing that bugged me, because I've got several issues, and even in the cartoons past, it's shown that Batman is one of the few Justice Leaguers. I guess
believes
Batman
in magic. Completely believes in magic.
He believes, and he's respected by the community. This one had him as pretty much an outsider.
Which I was okay with this though, because I feel like he not. I don't want to say he warms to magic, but he sticks with there's always a logical explanation for everything, but he also doesn't crap on the magic users.
Are we talking about the card game?
Why are you
you're a mess,
Sorry,
dude.
that was a bad joke.
No, but part of the things that I thought was really interesting about this is that this was a adult movie. This was not
a kiddie movie.
A kiddie movie. Something that I recently reviewed for you was I'm blanking Justice League Action.
Yes.
And it used Constantine in I thought a really funny way where he was hit by an accent exaggerator spell. It's really goofy, really funny, and it was super cute and I loved it. But this was one of the first ways that we could really see John Constantine, even more so than the TV series that came out recently.
That means take the elevator up.
That
7th inning stretch.
It really showed him in this context of magic is brutal and evil and heavily tied into literally Satan and hell.
Yes.
And this is something that's
did not
really
shy
constant.
away from that aspect of it either.
Not at all. And it's very
straight
constant.
Mention hell, straight mention demons.
There's portals to hell that open up and drag someone's soul down there. It's terrifying.
Yes.
And also the movie begins, and this is not a spoiler, it's the first moments of the film. The basic premise is that something is causing waking nightmares to affect otherwise good citizens
Yep.
in a way that they are committing heinous acts. The
And
very
heinous acts that are
Yes.
shown on
camera. The very first scene is a woman in her car driving down DC trying to escape what she believes are demons, but of course are not. They're actual just pedestrians, and she's mowing them down.
Oh, spoilers!
And it's the first minute of the movie, dude. And it's just something that, going into it, I then, of course, it's rated appropriately and everything.
Mhm.
But you're so used to either excessive violence for violence's sake
Mhm.
in superhero films or things being kind of toned or watered down. And this was a really good balance of, yes, there was some brutality in this. There was, there's another, I won't get into it, but there was another person affected by this kind of waking nightmare that did some really heinous things.
Mhm.
And Superman is the one who discovered it, which I thought was a really good foil to the horrors, having this kind of like really good force for good. And they don't shy away from showing this brutal and fairly graphic for an animated feature content, but it doesn't feel like it's shocking for shock value. It felt that it was incorporated in the plot and necessary to the plot.
Yes.
And that's something that I really appreciated from DC, because I feel there's a big disconnect between their live action features and their animated features.
Oh, yes. Yes, there
And
is.
that this almost treats the audience more intelligently. I did not feel anything was spoon-fed to me.
Seems a little backwards in that.
Yeah,
That's how
usually,
they're doing
and I mean, Marvel also has some incredible animated features, but obviously their strong suit are their live action films. And I'm obviously biased again. I'm much more of a Marvel fan, but I have followed a lot of these characters for years. I'm a huge Zatanna fan, and
Yeah, I don't get that. Chaos Comics all day.
But
No, I'm
this was
glad you brought
really
those up.
interesting use of more adult material in a
Mm.
way that didn't just feel this weird. We've talked about the Snyderverse of this like grim dark,
Mm.
everything desaturated.
Why's it got to be green?
This movie,
So much green.
This
Looks like
movie was
oatmeal.
very colorful for something called Justice League Dark. It didn't feel
Dark.
in that way. It felt like an actual dark mirror to the Justice League,
Mhm.
and it felt like a superhero film,
Yes.
and that I was watching
And-
magic user superheroes.
And I like that it was Justice League, but Justice League Dark. They showed Superman. They showed Wonder Woman.
you see
They are
the
not-
key members, but they're not the
Yeah.
main characters.
Yeah, they're not crowbarred in. It's like, oh, well, we got to go back to, we got to talk
Yeah.
about Krypton. Oh my
They're
God, it's
fit
Kryptonite.
very
We got to
well.
get the expert involved. No, none of that.
It's just the
That's
basic-
played out.
The
yeah.
basic plot was also just very intriguing. Again, I'm not going to spoil it for those out there, but it has some interesting twists to it. It
Mhm.
never felt forced.
Proper use of characters too. Swamp Thing wasn't just
Swamp
there to,
Thing
like,
is in
fling
it, and
plastic
it's
people.
amazing.
Swamp Thing's in it, really.
Swamp Thing's in
Thing was
it,
awesome.
and it's so good. And something I really appreciated also is you can watch this movie. I rewatched it yesterday, but the first time I saw it was right when it was released last year. It was this movie technically came out in last winter, and I watched it with someone that had. Well, technically, in that like it's just out. You can just get it.
Mhm.
It's not like it was out in theaters.
No, it's from the Bay.
But I watched
that-
it with
where
a
the pirates
friend.
hang.
I watched it. Stop. I watched it with a friend who had only a very basic understanding of these characters
Mm.
and doesn't really know anything about the overlap of the characters, and was able to follow the plot of it without an issue. And if you do understand these characters and you know the backstory, particularly things like Constantine's relationship with Zatanna, Constantine's relationship with Swamp Thing, it's just over the top amazing. But you don't need excessive content and backstory to go into this.
No, you do not. One thing that kind of irked me, and I guess it probably would have been a little too on the nose, I was really wondering why we didn't see Dr. Fate at all. Dr. Fate never showed up. You know Dr. Fate?
Yes.
Yeah. He's pretty much DC's answer to Doctor Strange. And Dr. Fate is the primary magic user. You have a look on your face. What's going on?
We'll talk off air.
We'll talk off air. Okay. All right.
I don't want to say anything that's a major spoiler.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I guess.
Yes, thank you.
I was surprised, but dude, I still enjoyed the whole hell out of this.
Where'd you watch it?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I watched it at home, dude. It's available.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a copy?
You want a copy?
Yeah.
Okay, I will get you a copy.
Thank you.
It's very good.
It is.
Well,
spectacular, dude.
one time I came
Thumbs
here,
up all the way.
I don't remember when it was, but I was like ranting something about John Constantine, and I'm
Mhm.
just like reaches into his bag and like
I had the
takes
Constantine
out
book
this
out,
like Hellblazer omnibus that was just in his bag at that exact moment.
Was reading up, yeah. Had the Swamp Thing episodes in there.
I really feel like these are being done by fans now. That's one thing that I
Yes.
really appreciate, and I'm hoping we see more. We heard rumors of the Justice League live action movie was going to focus on the Justice League Dark characters for a long time. Well, I mean, I thought
It'll be
they were
a
going to do
cold
it.
day in hell before you see John Constantine in the movies
Proper
again.
It
John
would have been a good. It would have been a
Constantine.
good turn to take. And if they'd used the Keanu Reeves Constantine, I wouldn't be upset by that. They could play off that universe and have actual characters with a legit budget do a good live action movie. We've seen it done before. You know, and DC has they have the ability when they're not trying to force feed us random stories to blatantly compete with their Marvel and just try to give us good stories, which they have had.
Yeah.
So I think this is a step in the right direction. At the very least, the animated universe is still killing it.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend anyone check this out. It's called Justice League Dark. And am I alone in this?
I don't think so. I think.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
And I'll know next week.
And you'll know next
You
week.
got to bring me a copy, bro.
Dude, hey man, we'll have a retrospective and you can give us your thoughts.
All
All right, Johnny, none for you.
Aw.
All right, well, we are just about out of time. This has been the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. I hope you enjoyed everything you heard. We're on every Monday nights, 9 p.m. right here on WEMF, but also we're on Twitch live every show. It's twitch.tv/thegeekdown if you want to see our smiling faces or the wonderful green hair over there.
Hello.
And of course, you can also check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Find us on SoundCloud. Search us on iTunes. If you search The Geek Down on any of these, we'll usually the first ones to pop up. On YouTube as well, you can see us in all our glory and catch the archived episodes. Man, all the links are available on the bio page too. But I hope you all will check us out next week because I got to turn to my homeboy Black Adam Willis.
Yes, sir.
Give him a quick pound.
Mm-hmm.
Got to turn to my homeboy Mix Macabre.
Hello.
Give him a quick pound.
Boom.
I turned to my, well, I can't reach just Johnny over there, but you know.
You can do it with your mind.
I'm an arm's reach away.
Arms, oh, stop. You know what?
I was saying booer.
And I caught it just late enough to have walked into it first. Shame on you. All right. And of course, we can't forget the man who keeps us sounding crisp and delicious, DJ Herbie Herb. And I've been Pat B. We will check you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. For now.
Until then.
Be excellent to each other.
Peace.
Exactly.
So I just didn't want to